In every person's life, there comes a moment, often many, where the temptation to give up outweighs the desire to keep pushing. The body feels heavy, the mind is clouded, and the goal ahead feels distant, almost unreachable. But it's precisely in these moments that transformation occurs, not because the situation changes, but because you decide to change how you respond to it. As a neuroscientist, I want to tell you something very clearly. Resilience is not just a trait you're born with. It's a process, it's a mechanism in your brain that can be trained, refined, and strengthened like a muscle. And the way you train it is by forcing yourself to keep going, even when every fiber of your being is telling you to quit. There's a part of your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. It lights up during times of struggle. It's like an internal GPS that signals discomfort, fatigue, stress. But here's what's fascinating. This region is also activated when you choose to persist. It's not passive. It doesn't just react to suffering. It reacts to effort. When you lean in even slightly, when you take one more step despite the pressure, that region reinforces the behavior, essentially rewarding your brain for not giving up. That means the very act of continuing builds the neurochemical foundation for grit. Dopamine, that powerful molecule of motivation, gets released not at the end of the reward, but in pursuit of it. You don't have to wait until you reach the top. You can experience motivation by climbing, so when people say just keep going, they're not offering empty advice, they're speaking a biological truth. Your system rewards forward action. Think of a time when you faced something hard, loss, failure, fear, and instead of retreating, you stood tall. Maybe you didn't win, maybe the world didn't applaud you, but internally your brain wired itself differently from that moment on. You taught your nervous system to associate action with meaning, not results. You created a feedback loop, effort meaning motivation, more effort. Now, let's talk about what to do when the emotional pain hits. Neuroscience shows that when you're under stress or facing setbacks, the amygdala and insular cortex, the fear and emotional centers, start to hijack your decision making. That's why doubt creeps in. That's why we panic, freeze, or flee. But here's the tool. The prefrontal cortex, your rational, planning brain, can override that system if you engage it. How? Through deliberate, structured action. Even something as simple as standing up straight, breathing through your nose slowly, or naming your emotion out loud activates the prefrontal cortex. It reminds your system that you are in control. Control isn't just emotional, it's neurological. And once you feel that sense of control, the emotional chaos begins to subside. You see, discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the currency you pay to earn growth. Think of every success story you've ever heard. Not a single one was free of difficulty. Every champion has been shaped in the furnace of hardship. The reason they rose wasn't talent alone. It was their response to resistance. They leaned into the discomfort, they made it familiar, and eventually they made it their fuel. You can do the same. In fact, one of the most powerful tools you have access to, free and always available, is your breath. When you feel overwhelmed, take a double inhale through your nose, followed by a long exhale. This simple physiological sigh reduces stress by signaling to your brainstem that you're safe. Safety, in turn, allows motivation and focus to re-enter the system. You don't have to meditate for an hour or take a cold plunge to find stillness. Sometimes it's just 3 breaths away. That's biology. That's how powerful your internal system is. So now, ask yourself, what are you running from? What is the hard thing you're avoiding? Is it the failure you fear? Is it the unknown? The truth is, avoiding discomfort doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. The longer you wait, the louder the fear becomes. But if you move, if you act, the noise begins to fade. You regain clarity. You prove to yourself that you're not at the mercy of your emotions. You're the captain of your nervous system. Let me share a truth that changed my life and my research. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. If you wait until you feel like doing the thing, you may wait forever, but if you do it, just take the first step. The biochemistry of motivation will catch up. That's how the brain works. Action precedes inspiration. Movement drives mood, so force yourself to start. Get up when your mind says stay down. Move when your feelings say stop. That is not inauthentic. That is discipline. That is self-command, and that is power. When you feel lost, go back to structure. When you feel weak, go back to effort. When you feel alone, go back to purpose. These are your anchors. They don't eliminate pain, but they give it meaning, and meaning is what transforms suffering into strength. If you can find purpose in your struggle, then you've already won, regardless of the outcome, because the ultimate victory is not external success. It's internal mastery. There's a science to perseverance. It's not about ignoring how you feel, it's about teaching your brain that emotions are signals, not stop signs. You don't have to silence fear, you just have to keep going with it. The greatest acts of courage weren't performed without fear, they were performed in spite of it. The people you admire, the legends, the leaders, the warriors, they all felt what you feel. The difference is they moved forward anyway, and you can too. And here's something even more empowering. Your brain remembers every act of courage you perform. Each time you keep going, you reinforce a neural network of strength and resilience. That network becomes your identity. That's how you become the person who doesn't quit. Not by waiting, not by wishing, but by choosing again and again to lean into the discomfort and trust the process. Even on the worst days, you still have control over the next decision. You still have your breath. You still have your feet. You still have your will. That's enough to begin again, and beginning again is the most powerful thing you can do. It means you haven't surrendered. It means you are still in the fight, and sometimes that's all that's required. So the next time life tests you, and it will, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what can I build from this? Because life isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. Every setback is a lesson. Every failure is a chapter. Every obstacle is an invitation to level up. Say yes to the challenge. Say yes to the discomfort. Say yes to the climb, and keep going, especially when it's hard. That's where your power lies. You're not weak for struggling. You're human, and humans were designed to endure. Your biology supports you. Your brain is built for adversity, and your spirit, when fueled by purpose, is unstoppable. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait until it's easy. Force yourself to keep going. That's where greatness begins. Many people believe resilience is something you're either born with or not, like a natural toughness only a few are lucky to have. But neuroscience reveals something far more empowering. Resilience is not fixed, it's trainable. Your brain is wired with systems that reward persistence, and the more you engage those systems, the stronger and more automatic your resilience becomes over time. One of the key players in this process is dopamine, a neurochemical often misunderstood as just a pleasure molecule. In reality, dopamine is heavily involved in motivation and effort. It gets released not only when you achieve a goal, but more powerfully when you pursue one. This means that when you choose to keep going, when you push through tiredness, frustration, fear, or doubt, your brain actually rewards you chemically for that effort. This release of dopamine makes you more likely to take action again in the future, creating a self-reinforcing loop of grit and determination. Additionally, areas of the brain like the anterior mid-cingulate cortex become more active during effortful persistence. This region is known for processing both pain and reward. When you experience discomfort but keep going, it helps reframe pain as part of a meaningful process rather than something to avoid. Over time, your nervous system starts to expect challenge and even welcomes it because it associates challenge with growth. The result, you become someone who doesn't rely on motivation or perfect conditions. You become someone who has trained your brain to rise in the face of adversity, not retreat. That is resilience, not a gift you're born with, but a skill you build through repetition and choice. Pain, struggle, and setbacks are inevitable parts of life. But what truly separates those who rise from those who collapse is not the absence of suffering, it's the presence of meaning. When your brain and body interpret a challenge as meaningful, your entire physiology responds differently. Stress becomes fuel, not friction. Pain becomes purpose, not punishment. This isn't just a motivational idea. It's rooted in neuroscience and psychology. When you assign meaning to your effort or hardship, whether it's working toward a greater goal, protecting someone you love, building a better future, or living by your values, you activate brain regions associated with reward, resilience, and goal-directed behavior. One key area is the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate how you experience discomfort when it's tied to something significant. In simple terms, your brain can endure much more if it believes it's worth it. Consider this: running in the rain feels miserable if you're doing it without purpose, but if you're training for something important, like a marathon for a cause you care about, it feels empowering. The pain is still there, but it's transformed. That's the power of framing and meaning. This is also why people who survive adversity, loss, failure, trauma, often emerge stronger if they find meaning in what they went through. This process, known as post-traumatic growth, relies on the brain's ability to reframe suffering as a stepping stone, not a dead end. It changes your story from "I was defeated" to "I was forged." Dr. Huberman often emphasizes that the nervous system is designed to adapt to challenge, but only when the challenge is sustained with voluntary effort and a sense of why it matters. The clearer and more personal your why, the more resilient your brain becomes. You start viewing discomfort not as a threat to avoid, but as a signal that you're in the exact place where transformation is possible. That's how champions, creators, leaders, and warriors are made. Not by avoiding difficulty, but by assigning deep meaning to their mission and enduring what others won't. So next time you're tempted to quit, ask yourself, why did I start? Who will benefit if I keep going? What does this struggle say about the kind of person I want to be? These questions aren't just reflective. They're neural tools that anchor your brain to purpose. And when you have purpose, you have power. Power that turns pain into progress.